Billin of Town Murf.
Top Billin villains.
Yo, I've always liked Bo Nix's ability to operate in the rhythm and timing portion of an offense here. As you can see, got a backside slant here. You have kind of a clear out route here, just to kind of run this jerk route back to the inside, to this inside receiver here. And pacing, timing, all of that there, your man is the absolute truth at that. At least at Oregon, we can see right there, throwing off his back foot with the Jakob. Look at this right here. Point, shoot, Jakob. Right? Fairly accurate there, getting the man on there in rhythm. Front-facing play action fake. Well, half of a front-facing play action fake. Doesn't really need to set his feet on this one right here. Just wants to lead the man to the promised land right there. And he promised him to hit him right between the numbers, or kind of on his back shoulder right there, but enough the way he can gather himself and get upfield as well. Once again, rhythm and timing out of the gun. Running a quick out to the slot receiver, Jakob. Allow him to get that yards after the catch right there. Now, if you've watched this channel before, if I'm anything, I'm consistent. And I've consistently said that it's harder for me to evaluate quarterbacks in the Pac-12 because of the defense. You get a lot of throws where there's just nobody around. Tunnel screen, interior receiver getting that exterior corner. And then you have, of course, the tunnel action going on right here. You pull that left side of the line off for that man to work the rhythm and timing portion of this. Now, I'll tell you, get a lot of this in the Oregon offense. It will translate very well into that Ryan Grubb offense with the run after the catch. Very much can't wait to see how Seattle's receivers do with more run after the catch stuff, opposed to always having to get to their marks and then catch the ball. It is 2x3 here with a numbers grip. So a lot of space right here. You're going to have the outside receiver working in. You're going to have the tight slot here. He's going to be working out just for the slot receiver here to kind of get to the void of the zone. Also, you have a hitch out here and then a clear out. So he's not necessarily working backside. They give him many half-field reads just so he can read quickly. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. You get a lot of that in the NFL these days as well. So we see right here, he's able to let that develop, and Jakob hits Trayshawn Holden right there, let him get a little yards after the catch, before he fumbles, actually. We see right here, rhythm. You saw that? Right when you get to that drop, crossover, hit that back foot, point and shoot, deliver. Yeah, pretty accurately on that one right there. Hit him right in his belly, Jakob. Bo Nix, classic throwing motion. Obviously a coach's son. Look at that turnover. Actually perfect throwing motion. Point and shoot foot all good here. Great hip rotation. You can see where the ball breaks. Over the top delivery. You can tell he's done this all his life. Being coached by his father, who was a really good quarterback at his original stop at Auburn. But what happens when everything isn't clear? If your path to victory isn't clear right there, if you have to make throws in the virgin type windows, can he consistently do that at the next level there? Or is he going to make a good enough decision right here? So on this one right there, you see the over under coverage as he tries to lead the receiver here. Either way it goes, it wasn't going to be a good pass, kind of high, but I don't know, definitely contact there at the apex in my opinion there. But I mean, this was a lot of the stuff that you saw from him in his previous stop at Auburn. So a lot of people don't know. One of the first big covers I could remember doing, right, when this channel started, was actually Bo Nix. I call this guy the prodigy, and it hit, right? I remember doing something on him, as we can see right here on the screen. I believe it was in either March or May or something like that of 2019, I believe. So we're talking almost 5 years ago. I was working and studying Bo Nix. Got to see Bo Nix play in high school back when I lived in the state of Georgia. He was over in Alabama, and of course you got some of those crossover games with those states And, I like Bo Nix. I thought that him going to Auburn and being the coach's son and being able to see him in high school, I felt like he was just far ahead of a lot of people. But what I saw at Auburn, man, I didn't necessarily like. And you have to factor that in if you're a GM. If you're doing a think like a GM and you're John Schneider and you're these guys, check this out. Obviously, if you see someone with 45 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions in a season, you would think they would be by far and away the number 1 quarterback in the nation. Are you hearing that type of buzz about Bo Nix? Yeah, because this is the NFL draft. It's a little bit different than just going by college stats. Not all college stats are created equal. Not all players are created equal. Some people are just going to have a better upside in the pros. Bo Nix, not a guy with really any traits that people would look for, right? A guy that you would consider a trait guy is a guy that I've been talking about for you guys in the later rounds, like a Joe Milton, 6'5", 240, the strongest arm perhaps ever in the sport. Yeah, that kind of stuff. That's what you look for right there. If you're talking about drafting for traits, somebody like him would get pushed up draft boards if all things were equal. A guy like Bo Nix, 6'2", 217, so he has average size at best. He's not a super athlete. I think he's a very good athlete, right? I would say a plus athlete, above average athlete. Doesn't have a huge arm. Has been accurate in Oregon. So check this out. Oregon, this is the last 2 years, he had 77% completion percentage, 4,500 yards. Now, you can point to scheme, you can point to talent around him and all that. I point to the fact that there's just not that many good defenses in the Pac-12. You're not going to consistently get man coverage, tight man coverage to throw into. You're going to get a lot of those open throws like I was showing, and it's pretty routine to be able to complete those type of throws. So that's where you get a 71% completion percentage, then a 77% completion percentage. 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 45-3 at Oregon. But look at Auburn coming in the gate with the 57.6% completion percentage. That was when I was covering him that year for however many games I did. 16-6, I thought he looked promising. He comes back the next year, 12-7, 59.9, so still below 60%. 65% in college to me is kind of average these days. You will want to be hitting around 69% or better. 68%, I would say 68% or better would be that threshold, right? Just because this is not a lot of good defenses in college, period. However, he saw some pretty good defenses in the SEC, being as though Auburn, of course, plays rivalry games with both Georgia and Alabama. So he saw both of those teams within those 3 seasons, at least, right, 6 times total. So having to play those guys, and then there are other guys in the conference where you go against a South Carolina, you're going against first-round draft picks like J.C. Horn, you know what I mean? Or you play against Texas A&M and you're seeing a whole litter of draft picks, right? So just better defensive talent, and you can see right here his high water mark was his 3rd year, 61% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions there. And you can't say it from lack of talent. Auburn always has talent, right? Just as talented as an Oregon team there. Of course, those guys met in the national championship one time there. So what is it? Which one is the real Bo Nix? You have to be wary of that. You cannot just think like, oh, he's what he is at Oregon without factoring in what he was at Auburn. And the fact that he's not a traits guy as well. Real quick, I mentioned him seeing Georgia. He did end up seeing Georgia for a 4th time, that being his first game at Oregon. And what happened to a team in Oregon that actually ended up being very good? Yeah, they lost 49-3 to Georgia to kick off the 2022 campaign, where he went 21 out of 37 for 173 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We know all the talent that was on that 2022 Georgia team. Absolutely loaded, right? So, tremendous amount of first-round picks, second-round picks, and all that as well. So which one is it? Would you give him an excuse and say, hey, it was just his first game? Well, the very next game, right, against lesser competition, he goes for 5 touchdowns and no interception, completing 85% of his passes. Same deal at BYU. Right, all these guys, UCLA, you see as a top 10 program for some odd reason. You go for 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. We know the defense is not that good. So, you know what I mean? To me, it's tough to judge. You can't just go by that you like somebody, guys. I like Bo Nix. I like Bo Nix a lot. Right? I did real good with that prodigy stuff and seeing him in college and being able to meet his father and everything. So I like the guy, but, man, you got to take facts over feelings and you got to take the feelings out of it. So you can't say for sure if he gets into the NFL if he will be the Oregon version. I thought, or if you think logically, if people thought that he would be a top 5 pick, right? Yeah, you got some people thinking that he should not even be a first-round draft pick despite all that. So it's like, Murf, why are you talking about that? Seattle Seahawks grubbing at Geno's, right? We'll get to that here in a second. They should definitely grub at Geno's. I said it, and I will say it again. They have to find a young QB in this draft because you need that type of contract to be able to succeed in the NFL. And in fact, if they could get by with getting a rookie like a Bo Nix to back up a Geno Smith, that will open up a little bit of cap room as well instead of having to go get a veteran or even re-sign Drew Lock, right? So if you see right here, the 16th pick, is Bo Nix worth a 16th pick? Man, that's tough on me. When you think about the type of line of scrimmage players that may be available with as many as, maybe 4 first-round draft picks at quarterback, maybe 5? Man, Seattle is not one of these teams that's a long way away to be worried about the future of the quarterback position for this particular season, especially when you have somebody like Geno's there. So 16th pick, and your next pick won't be until, what did I say last time? 78 here. 78 and 81st pick here. Then you go line of scrimmage after going QB at 16? Man, I don't know about that. But what I do know is I do not work for the Seattle Seahawks, and neither do none of you. So anybody speaking in absolutes about shit that they don't control, to me, is absolutely nuts. Nuts and cashews, right? You can be a nut bag all you want. I choose to not go down that path, right? And I keep telling people, stop coming to the channel talking about this will happen, that will happen, because you don't know. There's no NFL team out there telling everybody what they're going to do. If anything, it's the exact opposite. However, check this out. I came across this joint right here that said Mike Macdonald on Geno Smith, Drew Lock being part of the Seahawks' future. And he said, that's a tough question. So, talking to KCPQ's Aaron Levine, or Levine, however, hopefully I got your name right. He said, that's a tough question. And it's one that I probably can't answer right now. But we're doing a lot of work on those guys, and I've had conversations just to get to know them, understand who they are as people and their background goals and what their family's like and where they're from. I didn't know anything about them coming into this whole thing, so right now we're in the phase of figuring out who they are. Obviously, one or two or both will fit into our plans moving forward, but right now I probably don't have that answer for you. Yeah. So people are going to read into that how they want to because it's pretty ambiguous, if anything, right? On one hand, you would say he's playing coy. Maybe he's trying to get the best deal or whatever like that. You'll have some people say, oh, yeah, that means he doesn't like Geno Smith. But then they'll completely overlook the fact that he said the same shit about Drew Lock there. But, I mean, hey, I digress off that one right there. Now, look. To me, it's the silly season. That's what you do. You don't want to commit to anything at this particular point in time, right? You would probably want to get on the same page though as your GM and your OC because obviously Ryan Grubb was talking about, hey, he's like, from what I gather right now, Geno Smith is at the Pro Bowl, right? And he talked about all the good things that he did and all this and that or whatever like that. Didn't check for anything about him talking about a Drew Lock there, but obviously Drew Lock not under contract. You just guaranteed Geno Smith's contract there, rework some dollars there. All signs will point to him coming back. At the very least, you would have yourself a veteran with some starting experience and some success, right? No matter how much a hater wants to say he's had some success to the past couple of years. And, he's made a couple of Pro Bowls, won comeback player of the year, led the league in completion percentage. You know the whole spiel, 50 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, well over a 2-to-1 TD to INT ratio there, and 67% completion percentage there in the pros as Seattle starter. Now, what does that do for what goes on behind him? I don't know. So let's just say you weren't committed to Drew Lock and the money you would have to pay a backup quarterback there. If you get somebody like Bo Nix, Joe Milton, Sam Hartman, Jordan Travis, all these guys have 5 and 6 years of college experience. It's uncanny to have a second-tier crop of quarterbacks with that much football experience. I would think that most of those guys outside of Joe Milton, though, even though he's been there that long, he only has 1 year of starting experience, right? He still has room to grow. I think you may see what you have, all right, or you may get what you see, right, is a better way to phrase that, with Bo Nix, Jordan Travis, Sam Hartman, and these guys who played a ton of football. Bo Nix been a starter for 5 years, right? You get some people being 5 years in college football, but maybe only start 2 or 3 seasons. He started 5 seasons. As a true freshman, he came in and started 3 years at Auburn, 2 years at Oregon. He's ready to play right now in the NFL, right? Give him a training camp. Especially he's ready to play as a backup. So if you would think that your starter would be cool, and if you want to have somebody with some experience behind him, if you think your team is as good as I think Seattle can be next year, you just never know with a changeover, how guys take to systems or how the roster works out. I think Seattle can be pretty good next year. A guy like Bo Nix is not a bad option to have with that amount of throws in college. But is he worth the 16th pick? I don't know. He's definitely one of these guys. I would say if he was there, the 78th pick, you pull the trigger. Hell yeah. You pull the trigger on that. Michael Penix as well. I forgot about him. So Michael Penix, another guy with 6 years of college football experience. That's crazy. Same deal with him. Not a traits guy. Doesn't have a huge arm. Not overly athletic. Very much reminds me of a Geno Smith. Bo Nix very much reminds me of a Geno Smith. Take that for what it's worth right there. If you did want to have somebody with a similar skill set, those would be the 2 guys there. But I'm not sure either is worth the 16th overall pick when you could probably get some franchise-type line of scrimmage players on either side of the ball. And that's exactly what Seattle needs over a quarterback. So let me know where you stand with that right there. Is Bo Nix worth the 16th pick? It's tough to ask you guys because you guys are super homers when it comes to guys in that region who play quarterback, and you won't listen to me talking about the defenses out there. Even though you guys told me that Michael Penix would show me, he ends up seeing the Big Ten defense just like I suspected. When he played against the Big Ten, wasn't as impactful. In that championship game, yeah, he was pretty much exposed in that one there. So, all right. Well, let me know what you think about that, man. Lots of shit going on right there. It's a fun time, no doubt about that. Your Seattle Seahawks definitely in a good position, but could be in a better position with some roster moves there. So you just never know how things work out or shake out or however like that. So it's your boy Jersey Murf as always, man. Thank you for the support. All the people out there supporting, man. Make sure you hit that thanks button and tip your waiter because you know I'll be serving that hibachi, man. Peace.
What more can I say?
Top Billin.